Picture this. It's September 23rd, 1968, and in a small Italian monastery, something extraordinary is about to be discovered. As the Capuchin friars tenderly prepared Padre Pio's body for burial, they found something that would shake the Catholic world. Beneath his rough brown habit, against his stigmatized chest, lay a simple piece of brown cloth that he had worn for over 50 years without ever removing it, not once. What was this mysterious object that this holy man treasured more than his own life? And why, when asked about it, would his eyes fill with tears as he whispered, "This is my guarantee of salvation"? I'm talking about the brown scapular of Our Lady of Mount Carmel. And today, I'm going to share with you something that could change not just how you live, but how you die. Because here's the thing most people don't realize. Wearing this simple piece of cloth comes with promises so powerful, so incredible, that even death itself cannot break them. Have you ever wondered what really happens in those final moments? When your heart stops beating and your soul leaves this world, where exactly do you go? The uncertainty can be terrifying, can't it? But what if I told you that millions of Catholics around the world carry with them a sacred promise from the Mother of God herself? A guarantee that they will never face eternal damnation. Now, before you think this sounds too good to be true, let me tell you something. Padre Pio, one of the most beloved saints of our time, staked his eternal soul on this devotion. He never, and I mean never, took off his brown scapular. Even during his surgeries, even when doctors needed to examine his stigmata, he would fight to keep it on his body. Here's what's going to blow your mind. There are 3 sacred promises attached to this devotion. Promises that come directly from heaven. The first one protects you from hell itself. The second one, called the Sabbatine privilege, is so powerful it can cut short your time in purgatory. And the third one? Well, that one deals with the moment of your death in a way that will give you chills. If you're wearing a brown scapular right now, or if you believe in the protection of Our Lady of Mount Carmel, write in the comments, "Queen of Carmel, protect my soul." Your simple act of faith might be exactly what someone else needs to see today. Stay with me until the end, because what I'm about to share with you has been confirmed by saints, popes, and countless souls who have experienced these promises firsthand. This isn't just about a piece of cloth. This is about your eternal destiny. Let me take you back to a moment that changed history forever. It's July 16th, verse 1251, and in a small monastery in England, something incredible is about to happen that will echo through eternity. Saint Simon Stock, the superior general of the Carmelite order, is deep in prayer. His community is struggling, facing persecution and uncertainty. He's been begging the Blessed Virgin Mary for a sign, for help, for some kind of divine intervention. And then, in a vision so vivid it would be burned into his memory forever, she appears. But here's what most people don't know about this apparition. Mary didn't just hand over a piece of cloth and disappear. She spoke words so powerful, so definitive, that they've been changing destinies for over 770 years. She said, "Receive, my beloved son, this scapular of your order. It shall be a sign of privilege for you and all Carmelites. Whoever dies wearing this shall not suffer eternal fire." Think about that for a moment. The Mother of God herself, the woman who said yes to bearing the Savior of the world, just made a promise about your eternal salvation, not a suggestion. Not a maybe, a promise. Now, when Padre Pio learned about this promise as a young seminarian, something clicked in his soul. Here was a man who would later bear the wounds of Christ, who could read hearts and souls, who had visions of Jesus and Mary throughout his life. And yet, he clung to this simple brown cloth like his life depended on it. Because, in his own words, it does. But there's something even more incredible than that first promise. You see, Mary didn't stop there. In later revelations, she made what's called the Sabbatine privilege, a promise so extraordinary that it sounds almost too good to be true. She promised that those who wear the scapular with devotion, live in chastity according to their state in life, and pray the rosary daily, will be freed from purgatory on the first Saturday after their death. Picture this. You die, and if you need purification in purgatory, Mary herself comes down on Saturday, not years later, not decades later, but the first Saturday after you die, to personally escort you to heaven. It's like having the Queen of Heaven as your personal guide to eternal glory. Padre Pio understood this better than most. He once told a mother who was worried about her wayward son, "Get him to wear the brown scapular." Mary will not let him be lost. That mother followed his advice, and her son, who had been living a life far from God, died reconciled with the church just months later. This isn't superstition, friends. This is about understanding that when the mother of Jesus makes a promise, she keeps it. But here's the thing that blew my mind when I first learned about this. It's not just about what happens after you die. People who wear the brown scapular report protection in this life too, miraculous escapes from accidents, healing from illness, protection from spiritual attacks. The question isn't whether these promises are real. Saints, popes, and millions of faithful Catholics throughout history have staked their eternal souls on them. The question is, what are you going to do with this knowledge? Speaking of promises and protection, there's something else Padre Pio held close to his heart alongside that brown scapular, his rosary. He called it the weapon and prayed it constantly, understanding that Mary's promises work hand in hand with our devotion to her. If you want to deepen your relationship with Our Lady and strengthen the spiritual protection in your life, I've prepared something special for you. It's an ebook called The Power of the Rosary with Padre Pio. Miracles, protection, and divine grace. This spiritual treasure will help you learn to pray the rosary with greater devotion, discover the miracles experienced by those who've embraced its power, and receive a 30-day prayer guide with daily intentions to strengthen your faith. Plus, you'll get special prayers for protection, healing, and liberation that Padre Pio himself used. The rosary was Padre Pio's greatest weapon, and it can be yours too. To download it, just click the link pinned in the comments below. Now let's dive into those 3 sacred promises I mentioned. Here's where things get absolutely incredible. When Our Lady of Mount Carmel made her promises about the brown scapular, she wasn't just offering comfort, she was extending the most powerful spiritual guarantee in human history. Let me break down these 3 promises that have been changing lives for centuries. The first promise: protection from eternal damnation. Whoever dies wearing this shall not suffer eternal fire. When Mary spoke these words, she was essentially saying, I've got your back for eternity. But here's what's fascinating. This isn't about magic. It's about relationship. When you put on that brown scapular, you're making a statement. You're saying, Mary, I want to live as your child. I want your protection. I choose you as my spiritual mother. And Mary responds with the most incredible promise a human being could ever receive: protection from hell itself. I heard about a man named Robert, a construction worker from Detroit who had fallen away from his faith for decades. His elderly mother kept begging him to wear her brown scapular, but he always refused. Then one day, facing a dangerous job on a high-rise building, something moved him to put it on, just to make his mom happy, he said. 3 hours later, scaffolding collapsed around him, but somehow he walked away without a scratch. That day changed everything. He told me later, tears streaming down his face, I felt protected by something bigger than myself. Robert returned to Mass that very week and wore his scapular until the day he died, peacefully, surrounded by family, whispering prayers to Mary. The second promise, the Saturday liberation, this is where your mind gets blown. The Sabbatine privilege means that if you die wearing the scapular with proper devotion, and you need time in purgatory for purification, Mary will come for you on the first Saturday after your death. Not the first month, not the first year, the first Saturday. Think about what this means practically. While other souls might spend years, decades, or even centuries in purification, you get the express lane to heaven. Mary herself becomes your personal escort. It's like having the Queen of the Universe as your VIP pass to eternal glory. Padre Pio used to say with absolute conviction, "Saturday is Mary's day." She works overtime on Saturdays. He believed so deeply in this promise that he would comfort grieving families by telling them, "Your loved one won't be waiting long." Mary keeps her appointments. The third promise, the grace of final perseverance. Here's the promise that doesn't get talked about enough, but it might be the most important of all. Mary doesn't just promise to save you after death. She promises to give you the grace to die well. This is what theologians call final perseverance, the ability to remain in God's friendship at the moment of death. You see, the devil's greatest strategy is to attack us when we're most vulnerable, in our final moments, when we're weak, confused, maybe even unconscious. But Mary promised that those who are devoted to her brown scapula will receive special graces to resist temptation and die in a state of grace. A hospice nurse named Sarah told me something that gave me chills. She said, "I can always tell when someone is wearing a brown scapula. Even in their final moments, there's a peace about them, a confidence. It's like they know they're not facing death alone." This is why Padre Pio clung to his scapula so desperately. This is why Pope John Paul II, even after the assassination attempt in 1981, begged the doctors not to remove his brown scapula during surgery. These weren't superstitious men. They were spiritual giants who understood the power of Mary's promises. But here's the thing you need to understand. These promises aren't automatic. They're not a get-out-of-jail-free card for people who want to live recklessly. Mary's promises are for those who genuinely want to live as her children, who strive for holiness, who seek to follow her Son, Jesus Christ. As Padre Pio himself declared, the scapula is not a magic charm, but a sign of consecration to Mary. The brown scapula isn't just a piece of cloth. It's a covenant between you and the Mother of God. Now let's talk about something that makes a lot of people uncomfortable: purgatory. I know, it's not exactly dinner table conversation, but if you really want to understand why the brown scapula is so powerful, you need to know what it's protecting you from. Here's what most people don't realize about purgatory. It's not a Catholic invention or some medieval scare tactic. It's actually an act of God's incredible mercy. Think about it. Most of us die somewhere between sainthood and damnation. We love God, but we're not perfect. We've been forgiven, but we still carry the effects of our sins. Purgatory is God's way of saying, "I want you in heaven, but first, let me make you ready for perfect love." But here's where it gets intense. St. Catherine of Genoa, who had mystical visions of purgatory, described the pain there as greater than any earthly suffering. She said the souls there would gladly endure 1,000 years of the worst earthly torture if it would shorten their purification by even one moment. Can you imagine that level of spiritual agony? Padre Pio understood this reality better than most. During his mystical experiences, he was sometimes allowed to see souls in purgatory. He would weep after these visions, his stigmatized hands trembling as he described the intense longing these souls had for God, mixed with the unbearable pain of not yet being able to see him face to face. He once said, his voice breaking with emotion, "The souls in purgatory are like lovers separated from their beloved. Every moment apart feels like an eternity." But here's where Mary's promise becomes absolutely incredible. When she pledges to come for scapular wearers on the first Saturday after death, she's essentially saying, "I will personally cut short your suffering." Imagine being in that state of purification, longing for God with every fiber of your being, and then seeing the most beautiful woman who ever lived walking toward you with arms outstretched, saying, "Come, my child, it's time to go home." I met a woman named Margaret at a retreat who shared something that gave me goosebumps. Her husband, a faithful Catholic who wore his brown scapular for 40 years, died suddenly of a heart attack on a Thursday. Margaret was devastated, not just by grief, but by worry about his soul. But that Saturday night, she had the most vivid dream of her life. She saw her husband, radiant and joyful, standing next to a woman in brown and white robes. His face was glowing with a peace she had never seen in life. He looked at Margaret and simply said, "She kept her promise. I'm home." Margaret woke up with an inexplicable peace that lasted through her entire grieving process. Now, some people say, wait a minute. If Mary can free souls from purgatory, why doesn't she just free everyone? Here's the thing, Mary's promises are tied to our choices in life. The brown scapular represents a relationship, a commitment to live as her child. You can't live your whole life rejecting God and then expect Mary to override your free will at the moment of death. This is why Padre Pio was so careful to explain. The scapular is like a lifeline thrown from a ship to someone drowning, but you must grab hold of it to be saved. The beautiful thing is that Mary responds to even our imperfect efforts with perfect love. She sees our struggles, our failures, our sincere desire to do better, and she wraps us in her maternal protection. That's the real power of the brown scapular, not magic, but the love of the perfect mother who never abandons her children. So when Saturday comes, and you're in need of that final purification, you won't be alone. You'll have the Queen of Heaven herself coming to take you home. All right, let's get real for a minute. I know what some of you are thinking. This sounds amazing. Where can I get one of these brown scapulars? I'll put it on and I'm set for eternity. Hold on there, friend. Mary's promises are incredible, but they're not a spiritual lottery ticket. There are requirements, and they matter more than you might think. Padre Pio taught what he called the 3 pillars of authentic scapular devotion. Miss any of these, and you're building your spiritual house on sand instead of rock. Pillar 1, living in grace. First, and most importantly, you need to live in a state of grace. This means staying close to God through prayer, regular confession, and receiving the Eucharist. Padre Pio was blunt about this, his eyes flashing with holy fire. You cannot live like the devil and expect to die like an angel. The brown scapular isn't a shield that protects you while you live however you want. It's a uniform that shows which team you're on. I knew a man who wore his scapular for 20 years while living a double life. Faithful husband on Sundays, unfaithful on business trips. When confronted about his hypocrisy, he literally patted his scapula and said with a smirk, "Don't worry, I'm covered." That's not how this works. Mary's promises are for those who sincerely strive to follow her Son, not for those who want to game the system. Pillar 2, chastity according to your state. This one trips people up because they think chastity only applies to priests and nuns. Wrong. Chastity means sexual purity according to your calling in life. If you're single, that means abstaining from sexual activity. If you're married, that means faithfulness to your spouse. If you're religious, that means celibacy. Mary is pure, and she expects her children to strive for purity too. Pillar 3, daily prayer, especially the rosary. Originally, scapular wearers were required to pray certain prayers throughout the day. The Church has simplified this to daily recitation of the rosary. But here's the key. It's not about checking off boxes. It's about maintaining that relationship with Mary. Padre Pio called the rosary the weapon, and he prayed it constantly, his fingers worn smooth from decades of use. When you commit to daily rosary, you're committing to daily conversation with your spiritual mother. Now, Here's something crucial that might surprise you. Even if you fall short of these requirements, don't throw in the towel. Mary is a mother, and mothers have a way of working with their children's imperfections. Padre Pio taught with gentle compassion that sincere effort matters more than perfect performance. If you mess up, get back up. If you skip prayers, start again tomorrow. If you fall into sin, get to confession and keep trying. But here's what you absolutely cannot do. You cannot live in deliberate, unrepentant mortal sin and expect Mary's promises to magically kick in at death. That's presumption, and it's spiritually dangerous. The brown scapular guarantees Mary's special intercession, but it doesn't override your free will or God's justice. Think of it this way. Mary's promises are like a parachute, but a parachute only works if you're willing to pull the cord. If someone jumps out of a plane with a parachute but refuses to open it, they can't blame the parachute when they crash. The beautiful thing is that Mary makes it easier to live these requirements, not harder. Her grace helps you pray, helps you stay pure, helps you live in friendship with God. She's not just promising to save you at death, she's helping you live well right now. Here's something beautiful. Mary doesn't wait until you die to start protecting you. If you're wearing the brown scapular with genuine devotion, you'll start noticing her intercession in ways that will absolutely amaze you. The guardian angel effect. Padre Pio taught that scapular wearers have an extra layer of spiritual protection. He called it walking with invisible bodyguards. People report narrow escapes from accidents that should have been fatal, sudden changes in travel plans that saved them from disasters, and an almost supernatural ability to avoid dangerous situations. A police officer named Mike from Chicago shared this with me, his voice still shaking from the memory. He'd been wearing his brown scapular for 15 years when he got called to what seemed like a routine domestic dispute. Something inside him, he calls it a holy whisper, told him to wait for backup, even though he'd handled hundreds of similar calls alone. 20 minutes later, they discovered the suspect was armed with a shotgun and had been waiting in ambush. Mike told me, tears in his eyes, "I've never been one to believe in supernatural stuff, but I know Mary saved my life that day." Unexpected peace in storms. One of the most common signs scapular wearers report is supernatural peace during life's worst moments. When everyone around them is panicking, they find themselves strangely calm, able to think clearly and make good decisions. Lisa, a single mom from Texas, experienced this when her daughter was diagnosed with leukemia. She said, "I should have been falling apart, but instead I felt this incredible strength, like someone was holding me up. I could handle the doctor's appointments, the treatments, the sleepless nights. My family kept asking how I was staying so strong. Her daughter is now in full remission, and Lisa is convinced Mary carried her family through those dark months. Divine coincidences. Mary has a way of arranging coincidences that are anything but coincidental. Scapular wearers often find themselves in the right place at the right time, meeting exactly the person they need to meet, or receiving help just when they need it most. Protection from spiritual attacks. This one might sound dramatic, but it's real. People who wear the brown scapular report feeling protected from spiritual oppression, nightmares, and what can only be described as evil influences. Padre Pio taught that demons flee from those under Mary's protection. A veteran named Tony told me that after returning from deployment with severe PTSD and night terrors, his grandmother convinced him to wear her husband's old brown scapular. "The nightmares stopped within a week," he said, his voice filled with wonder. "I started sleeping peacefully for the first time in months. My therapist couldn't explain it, but I knew what had changed. The preparation. Grace. Perhaps most importantly, Mary prepares scapular wearers for death gradually, gently. They often develop a deeper prayer life, a stronger desire for the sacraments, and a growing detachment from worldly things. It's like she's slowly preparing their souls for the moment when she'll come to escort them home. These aren't just nice stories, they're evidence of Mary's maternal care. When you wear that brown scapular, you're not just wearing cloth. You're wearing a mother's love, and that love is active, powerful, and absolutely transformative. Friends, we've reached the end of our journey together, but this is really just the beginning. I want you to take a deep breath and let everything we've shared today sink into your heart. You've just learned about the most powerful spiritual promise ever made, a guarantee from the Mother of God herself that you never have to face eternity alone. Can you feel the weight of that truth? In a world where nothing seems certain anymore, where we're constantly worried about the future, about death, about what comes next, Mary offers you something nobody else can. Absolute assurance that she's got your back, both in this life and the next. That piece of brown cloth that Padre Pio treasured for 50 years, that he protected with his very life, isn't just fabric. It's a lifeline thrown from heaven to earth. It's Mary saying with all the love of a perfect mother, "You're my child, and I will never, ever abandon you." When you wear it, you carry with you 3 promises that have changed millions of lives: protection from hell, early release from purgatory, and the grace to die well. But more than that, you carry the love of a mother who has never lost a single child who truly wanted to be saved. Think about that for a moment. Mary's track record is perfect. For over 770 years, she has kept every single promise attached to that brown scapula. Every single one. Now picture this, the moment when your time on earth comes to an end. Your breathing becomes shallow, your heart begins to slow, and you feel yourself slipping away from this world. But instead of fear, instead of uncertainty, you feel a presence. A gentle hand touches your shoulder, and you hear the most beautiful voice you've ever heard saying, "Come, my beloved child, I've been waiting for you." And there she is, Mary, the Mother of God, just as she promised. Just as she came for Padre Pio, just as she's come for millions of her faithful children throughout history. This is your invitation to that same incredible promise. I want to leave you with the words that Padre Pio whispered every night, clutching his scapula close to his stigmatized heart. "Mary, my mother and my queen, you know my fears, my struggles, my desire to be worthy of your son. Wrap me in your brown scapula as you would wrap a child in a warm blanket. Protect me today, guide me tomorrow, and when my time comes to leave this world, be there waiting for me with open arms." If these promises have moved your heart today, share this video with 3 people you love. Maybe someone who's been struggling with faith, maybe someone who fears death, maybe someone who just needs to know they're not alone. Write in the comments, "Our Lady of Mount Carmel, I trust in your promises." Find a Catholic priest this week and ask to be enrolled in the brown scapular. Take that step of faith. Mary kept her promise to Padre Pio. She's going to keep her promise to you too. May Our Lady of Mount Carmel wrap you in her love and welcome you home to heaven. Amen. Have you ever wondered why, despite all your efforts, achieving prosperity and living in peace seems impossible? If you're struggling with this question, you're not alone. Today, I'm going to share with you 5 crucial warnings from Padre Pio that could change your life forever. If you believe in Padre Pio's wisdom, write "I trust" in the comments below. In our fast-paced world, where spiritual traps lurk around every corner, understanding these 5 warnings has become more critical than ever. Padre Pio, one of the most remarkable spiritual guides of our faith, revealed 5 things we should never accept in our lives, as they open doors to both spiritual and material poverty. What you're about to hear isn't just advice. It's a wake-up call that could unlock the prosperity and peace you've been seeking. These revelations from Padre Pio, who had an extraordinary connection with God, expose what might be secretly stealing your abundance without you even realizing it. You see, in today's world where everything seems more confusing and challenging than ever, seemingly innocent decisions could be blocking the blessings meant for your life. Padre Pio's wisdom becomes even more relevant as we navigate these uncertain times. His teachings offer a beacon of hope and practical guidance for those seeking true prosperity. Think about it. How many times have you felt stuck, wondering why your efforts aren't bearing fruit? How often have you questioned why others seem to prosper while you struggle? These questions troubled many who sought Padre Pio's counsel, and his answers were both surprising and transformative. Before I reveal these 5 crucial warnings, I want you to understand something important. This message isn't just about material prosperity. It's about achieving a complete state of well-being in your finances, relationships, and spiritual life. Padre Pio understood that true prosperity comes when we align ourselves with God's will and protect ourselves from harmful influences. The insights you're about to discover have helped countless people transform their lives. Many who followed these teachings found themselves breaking free from cycles of lack and limitation. They discovered that by avoiding these 5 things, they could finally experience the abundance they were meant to have. Are you ready to discover what these 5 warnings are? Are you prepared to learn what might be secretly blocking your blessings? In the next few minutes, I'll share each of these warnings in detail, along with practical examples and guidance on how to apply them in your daily life. Remember, what sets these teachings apart is that they come from someone who dedicated his life to helping others find their path to true prosperity. Padre Pio's insights weren't just theoretical. They were born from years of spiritual wisdom and practical experience in guiding countless souls. If you're watching this video, it's not by chance. Perhaps you've been seeking answers, looking for guidance on how to improve your life. These 5 warnings from Padre Pio could be exactly what you need to hear today. Stay with me as we explore each one and prepare yourself for revelations that could transform your understanding of prosperity and spiritual protection. Let's begin with Padre Pio's first and most crucial warning. Never accept objects or gifts with negative spiritual energy. This warning might sound simple, but its impact on your life can be profound. I've seen countless cases where seemingly innocent objects became gateways to unexpected hardships. Consider what happened in a household where financial problems began after receiving an antique mirror. The family experienced unexplained losses, and their once peaceful home became filled with tension. Only after removing the mirror did their situation improve. Padre Pio taught that objects can carry the energy of their previous owners, affecting not just our peace, but our prosperity as well. You might be wondering, how can I identify these harmful objects? Padre Pio provided 3 clear signs to watch for. First, if you feel unexplained unease around certain items. Second, if you notice changes in your home's atmosphere after bringing in new objects. Third, if these items are connected to painful memories or difficult relationships. Look around your home right now. Are there objects that make you feel uncomfortable? Perhaps gifts from people who wished you harm, or items connected to painful past experiences. These might be the very things blocking your blessings. Padre Pio emphasized that our homes should be sanctuaries of peace, not storage spaces for negative energy. This principle extends beyond just old or antique items. Even new objects, if given with negative intentions, can affect our lives. Padre Pio warned specifically about accepting gifts from people who harbor jealousy or ill will towards us. He taught that these objects could become conduits for negative influences, affecting our decisions and blocking our path to prosperity. Let me share an observation from years of studying Padre Pio's teachings. When people cleared their homes of spiritually charged objects, they often experienced immediate positive changes. Their businesses improved, relationships healed, and opportunities seemed to appear from nowhere. It's as if removing these items lifted an invisible barrier to their blessings. But here's the key. It's not about becoming paranoid about every object in your home. Instead, Padre Pio advocated for spiritual discernment. He suggested a simple practice. Spend time in prayer before accepting significant gifts or bringing new items into your home. Trust your intuition. It's often God's way of protecting you. Before we move to the second warning, I want to teach you a practical exercise Padre Pio recommended. Take a moment each morning to observe how different objects in your home make you feel. If something consistently brings negative feelings or memories, consider removing it. This simple practice can create space for new blessings in your life. Remember, protecting your spiritual space isn't about fear, it's about wisdom. Padre Pio understood that our material world and spiritual well-being are deeply connected. By being mindful of what we allow into our physical space, we are actually protecting our spiritual prosperity. This first warning might seem unconventional in today's world, where we're taught to accumulate more things. But Padre Pio's wisdom reminds us that quality of life isn't measured by what we own, but by the peace and prosperity we experience. Sometimes, letting go of certain objects is the first step toward the abundance God has planned for us. The second warning from Padre Pio is critical. Never accept advice from people without spiritual foundation. In today's world, where everyone claims to be an expert, this wisdom is more important than ever. Padre Pio observed that following misguided advice could lead us away from true prosperity. Think about the people you turn to for guidance. Are their lives aligned with spiritual principle? Do their actions reflect genuine wisdom? Padre Pio emphasized that not all advice, even when well-intentioned, comes from a place of true understanding. He saw many cases where following worldly counsel led people astray from their path to prosperity. Let me share something powerful I've learned from studying Padre Pio's teachings. A successful business owner once sought his guidance after nearly losing everything. Despite having many advisors, his business was failing. Padre Pio revealed the root cause. He was surrounding himself with people who only valued material success, ignoring spiritual principles. After changing his advisors and aligning his business with spiritual values, his prosperity returned. Padre Pio provided 3 key questions to ask before accepting anyone's advice. Does this person prioritize spiritual values in their own life? Have their decisions brought lasting peace and prosperity? Do their words align with God's teachings? These simple questions can protect you from advice that might seem good on the surface, but lacks spiritual foundation. But here's what many people misunderstand about this warning. It's not about rejecting all worldly wisdom. Instead, Padre Pio taught us to filter advice through spiritual discernment. He believed that true prosperity comes when practical wisdom aligns with spiritual truth. Before I continue sharing these important teachings from Padre Pio about protecting your prosperity, I want to invite you to become part of this spiritual family. If these messages of protection and wisdom are touching your heart, you can support this space by becoming a channel member. Also, if this message is helping your life, don't forget to leave your thank you in the comments below. Now let's continue with these important revelations. Consider the impact of misguided advice in your own life. Have you ever followed someone's guidance only to feel a deep sense of unease? Padre Pio taught that this discomfort is often the Holy Spirit warning us that something isn't right. Learning to recognize and honor these spiritual promptings is crucial for protecting your prosperity. Here's a practical application of this teaching. Before making important decisions, take time for prayer and reflection. Padre Pio recommended creating a circle of spiritually minded advisors who can offer guidance aligned with God's will. This doesn't mean these people need to be religious leaders. They simply need to demonstrate wisdom that goes beyond material success. Remember, prosperity isn't just about financial success. Padre Pio saw true prosperity as a state of complete well-being, spiritual, emotional, and material. When we accept advice only focused on material gain, we risk compromising our spiritual peace and true abundance. Let me share a powerful practice Padre Pio suggested. Whenever you receive advice, pause and ask yourself, will following this guidance bring me closer to or further from God's plan for my life? This simple question can save you from countless missteps and protect your path to true prosperity. The third warning from Padre Pio touches the core of our well-being. Never accept proposals that compromise your inner peace. In a world that constantly pushes us to sacrifice our peace for success, this teaching becomes increasingly valuable. Let me explain why this warning is crucial for your prosperity. Padre Pio witnessed many people trading their peace for promises of quick success. He observed how a promising career opportunity could become a source of constant anxiety, or how a lucrative business deal could rob someone of their sleep and tranquility. He firmly believed that any gain achieved at the cost of inner peace was actually a loss. Consider this scenario that often came to Padre Pio's attention. A person accepts a high-paying position that requires them to compromise their values or sacrifice their prayer time. Initially, the financial benefits seem worth it. However, as weeks pass, they notice their energy depleting, their relationships suffering, and ironically, their ability to enjoy their increased income diminishing. Padre Pio provided 3 clear signs that a proposal might compromise your peace. First, if it creates persistent anxiety or unease. Second, if it requires you to sacrifice your prayer or reflection time. Third, if it forces you to act against your conscience. These signs are like spiritual traffic lights, warning us to stop and reconsider our choices. Let me share a profound insight from Padre Pio's teachings. True prosperity flows naturally when we maintain our inner peace. It's like a garden. When the soil is healthy and well tended, plants grow naturally. Similarly, when we protect our inner peace, opportunities and blessings find their way to us without forcing or compromising. This isn't just spiritual theory, it's practical wisdom for modern life. Think about times when you've made decisions in a state of inner turmoil versus times when you've acted from a place of peace. Which decisions brought better results? Padre Pio observed that choices made in peace, even if they seem less profitable initially, often lead to greater long-term prosperity. Here's a powerful practice Padre Pio recommended. Before accepting any proposal, take time to observe how it affects your inner state. Does it bring peace or disturbance? Does it align with your values? Does it allow you to maintain your spiritual practices? These questions can protect you from choices that might seem profitable but actually cost you your peace. Let me share something particularly important about this teaching. Some people misinterpret it as avoiding all challenging situations. That's not what Padre Pio meant. He taught that there's a difference between the temporary discomfort of growth and the persistent disturbance of a wrong choice. True opportunities, even challenging ones, should ultimately deepen your peace, not diminish it. This brings us to a practical aspect of protecting your peace. Padre Pio suggested creating what he called peace boundaries, clear limits on what you will and won't accept in your life. For example, not checking work emails during prayer time, or not accepting projects that require dishonesty, no matter how profitable they might seem. Remember, protecting your peace isn't selfish, it's essential for serving others effectively. Padre Pio often said that a person at peace becomes a source of peace for others. By maintaining your inner tranquility, you're not just benefiting yourself, you're creating an environment where others can thrive too. Padre Pio's fourth warning is perhaps the most overlooked yet powerful. Never allow relationships that drain your spiritual energy. This warning addresses a subtle but significant threat to your prosperity. People who deplete your spiritual strength and block your blessings. In his years of spiritual guidance, Padre Pio noticed how certain relationships could act like invisible anchors, holding people back from their true potential. He saw that some connections, even when they appeared beneficial on the surface, were actually blocking the flow of blessings in people's lives. Consider what happens when you spend time with someone who constantly complains or criticizes. You might notice feeling tired, discouraged, or doubtful afterward. Padre Pio explained that this isn't just emotional fatigue, it's a real drain on your spiritual energy, which directly affects your ability to attract and maintain prosperity. There's a profound connection between the company we keep and our prosperity. A business partnership might look promising on paper, but if your partner's negative energy constantly drains you, success will remain elusive. Padre Pio taught that true prosperity flows more easily when we're surrounded by people who uplift our spirit, not those who deplete it. Here's a practical way to identify spiritually draining relationships. Pay attention to how you feel after interactions. Do you feel energized and inspired, or exhausted and doubtful? Do your faith and hope grow stronger or weaker? These feelings are important indicators that Padre Pio urged us to notice. Let me share an important observation from his teachings. Sometimes the most draining relationships are with people closest to us. This makes setting boundaries particularly challenging. However, Padre Pio emphasized that protecting your spiritual energy isn't selfish. It's essential for maintaining the strength to help others effectively. This brings us to a crucial point about managing these relationships. Padre Pio didn't advocate for completely cutting people off, unless absolutely necessary. Instead, he suggested creating healthy boundaries. This might mean limiting time spent with certain people, being mindful of what you share with them, or ensuring you have time to recharge after difficult interactions. Think about your current relationships. Are there people in your life who consistently leave you feeling drained? Do certain interactions seem to coincide with periods of struggle or lack? Padre Pio taught that recognizing these patterns is the first step toward protecting your prosperity. Here's a practical exercise Padre Pio recommended. Create a relationship inventory. List the people you interact with regularly and note how each interaction affects your energy, faith, and peace. This awareness can help you make wise decisions about where to invest your time and energy. Remember, this teaching isn't about judgment or criticism. It's about stewardship, being a good steward of the spiritual energy God has given you. When you protect yourself from draining relationships, you're better equipped to fulfill your purpose and help others effectively. The fifth and final warning from Padre Pio holds a powerful truth. Never accept commitments based on pride and vanity. This teaching cuts to the heart of what often blocks our true prosperity, our own ego. Padre Pio observed countless cases where people's pursuit of status and recognition led them away from genuine abundance. He saw how the desire to impress others or maintain appearances could trap people in cycles of spiritual and material poverty. Consider the businessman who took on prestigious positions merely for status, or the person who lives beyond their means to maintain a certain image. Padre Pio noted that these ego-driven choices often lead to eventual downfall, as they're built on a foundation of pride rather than authentic purpose. Here's what Padre Pio taught about recognizing pride-based commitments. First, examine your motivations honestly. Are you accepting responsibilities to serve others and grow, or to feed your ego? Second, notice if you're making decisions based on what others will think, rather than what feels right in your heart. The remedy, according to Padre Pio, lies in humility and authenticity. Before accepting any commitment, ask yourself, am I doing this to please God and serve others, or am I seeking recognition and praise? This simple question can protect you from commitments that might look impressive, but ultimately drain your true prosperity. Let me share a practical method Padre Pio suggested for making decisions free from pride. Take a moment of quiet reflection before any significant commitment. Imagine making the choice without anyone knowing about it. Would you still do it? Your honest answer reveals whether your motivation comes from authentic purpose or pride. Before I share our closing thoughts about these 5 crucial warnings from Padre Pio, I want to invite you who have stayed with us to leave a thank you below this video if these teachings have touched your heart. This simple gesture of gratitude helps more families receive these valuable revelations. And if you wish to continue receiving more messages of protection and wisdom, become a member of this space of connection and faith. Together, we can create a community where peace and harmony become a reality in every home. Let's review these 5 essential warnings from Padre Pio that can transform your life. First, protect yourself from objects carrying negative energy. They can secretly block your blessings. Second, be selective about whose advice you follow, ensuring it comes from those with spiritual wisdom. Third, never compromise your inner peace for temporary gains. Fourth, guard yourself from relationships that drain your spiritual energy. Fifth, avoid commitments rooted in pride and vanity. Padre Pio left us a practical method for implementing these teachings. Each morning, take a moment to reflect on 3 questions. What am I allowing into my life today? Who am I allowing to influence my decisions? What are my true motivations for today's choices? These 5 warnings aren't just restrictions, they're keys to unlocking the prosperity God intends for you. By following them, you create space for true blessings to flow into your life. Remember, protecting yourself from these 5 things isn't about fear, it's about wisdom and discernment. Consider starting today by examining your environment, relationships, and commitments. Which of these warnings resonates most with your current situation? Take action on what you've learned. Remove what needs to be removed. Strengthen what needs to be strengthened. The power to change your life lies in the choices you make today. These teachings from Padre Pio offer a clear path to true prosperity, one that balances material success with spiritual well-being. Share this message with those you care about, as these warnings could be the key someone else needs. If these revelations from Padre Pio about protecting your spiritual and material prosperity have touched your heart, I invite you to share a thank you below this video. Your gratitude helps spread these valuable teachings to more families seeking guidance. Consider becoming a member of our spiritual family to receive more wisdom and protection messages. Together, we can build a community where peace and abundance flourish in every home. Have you ever wondered why some dates seem to carry a power that transcends time itself? Today, I want to share something that might completely change how you see August 5th. Most people walk through this day without knowing they're stepping into one of heaven's most sacred moments. August 5th isn't just another day on the calendar. In the spiritual realm, this date pulses with miraculous energy. It's the day we celebrate the dedication of the Basilica of St. Mary Major in Rome, one of the world's oldest churches dedicated to the Virgin Mary. But here's what will astonish you. Padre Pio called this basilica the House of the Mother of Miracles, and he had a very special reason for that. Picture this. It's the 4th century in Rome. Summer heat blazes across the city. But on this very day, August 5th, something extraordinary happened. Snow began to fall on Esquiline Hill in the middle of scorching summer. The Virgin Mary had appeared to a devoted couple and to the Pope himself, asking for a church to be built where snow would fall. And when that miraculous snow touched the ground, they knew exactly where heaven wanted Mary's house to be built. Padre Pio understood something most believers miss. He knew that Mary doesn't turn away those who honor her on her special days. He would often say with deep conviction, "Love Our Lady and make others love her. Pray the Rosary. She is the sure path to heaven." But here's what I'm about to reveal to you today. Padre Pio shared 3 specific practices, 3 spiritual keys that he believed could open the floodgates of heaven on this sacred day. These aren't complicated rituals. They're simple, profound acts that can transform how you connect with the Mother of Miracles. If you feel like you're carrying a burden that seems beyond human solution, if there's a miracle your heart has almost given up hoping for, then what you're about to discover could change everything. Padre Pio taught that August 5th holds special power because it celebrates the very place where heaven touched earth through snow. Before we dive deeper, I want you to do something. If you believe that miracles are still possible, if you feel that maybe, just maybe, today could be the day your breakthrough arrives, write in the comments, "Mother of Miracles, intercede for me." Your faith, combined with these ancient practices, creates a spiritual atmosphere where divine intervention becomes reality. Stay with me until the end, because the third practice Padre Pio revealed is so powerful. It could be the very key that unlocks the answer you've been seeking. The Mother of Miracles is waiting for you to discover her secret. To truly understand why Padre Pio treasured August 5th, we need to step back into ancient Rome, into a story that reads like something from the pages of Scripture itself. The year was 358 AD. Rome was sweltering under the brutal Mediterranean sun, but in the heart of this ancient city, heaven was about to write its signature across the sky. A wealthy Roman couple, Giovanni and his wife, had been praying for years about how to use their fortune for God's glory. Night after night, they knelt before their simple altar, asking Mary to show them the way. On the night of August 4th, something extraordinary happened. As they slept, the Virgin Mary appeared to them in a dream so vivid, so real, that they both awakened with the same vision burning in their hearts. But Mary didn't appear only to them. That same night, Pope Liberius experienced the identical vision. Mary's message was clear and specific: "Build me a church where you find snow tomorrow." In August, in Rome, where temperatures soared above 100 degrees. When dawn broke on August 5th, Giovanni and his wife rushed to the Esquiline Hill, following an inexplicable pull in their hearts. And there, spread across the ground like a white carpet from heaven, lay fresh snow. The Pope arrived at the same moment, and together they traced the outline of what would become the Basilica of St. Mary Major. The snow had fallen in a perfect rectangle, marking exactly where heaven wanted Mary's house to stand. This wasn't just a miracle. It was Mary's way of saying, "I want to be close to my children. I want a place where heaven's mercy flows freely." For over 1,600 years, this basilica has been a beacon of hope, a place where countless miracles have unfolded. Saints, sinners, the broken-hearted and the desperate have all found their way to Mary's house, and she has never turned any of them away. Padre Pio understood this history in his very bones. He would often tell his spiritual children, "Mary is not just the mother of Jesus, she is the mother of miracles. And those who approach her with sincere hearts will never leave empty-handed." He knew that August 5th wasn't just a commemoration. It was an anniversary of divine intervention, a day when heaven bends a little closer to earth. But here's what made Padre Pio's devotion so extraordinary. He didn't just honor this day with prayers. He had discovered specific ways to tap into the spiritual power of this sacred anniversary. He had learned 3 practices that, when done with faith on August 5th, could open channels of grace that remain closed on ordinary days. Now, before I share these life-changing practices with you, I want to offer you something special. Many of you have been asking about deepening your prayer life, especially your connection to the Rosary. Padre Pio always said the Rosary was his weapon against darkness, his direct line to Mary's heart. That's why we've created something extraordinary for you. It's our ebook called The Power of the Rosary with Padre Pio, Miracles, Protection, and Divine Graces. This spiritual treasure will help you learn to pray the Rosary with deeper devotion, discover the miracles and testimonies of those who've experienced its power, understand Padre Pio's most impactful teachings about prayer, receive a 30-day prayer guide with daily intentions to strengthen your faith, and access special prayers for protection, healing, and liberation. The Rosary was Padre Pio's greatest weapon, and today it can be yours too. Don't miss this opportunity to strengthen your spiritual life with material that has already helped thousands of people. To download it, simply click the link pinned in the comments. Now comes the first practice that Padre Pio revealed for this sacred day, and it might challenge everything you think you know about prayer. He called it the Rosary of the Impossible, not the Rosary of the difficult, not the Rosary of the unlikely, but the Rosary of what seems completely beyond reach. Here's where most people get prayer wrong. We pray for things we think are reasonable: a better job, improved health, family harmony. These are beautiful prayers, but Padre Pio understood something deeper. He knew that when we pray for what seems humanly hopeless, we force ourselves to rely completely on God's power, not our own understanding. We step out of the realm of human logic and into the realm of divine intervention. Padre Pio would say with absolute conviction, the rosary is the weapon for times of darkness. No soul is lost if it clings to the rosary. But on August 5th, he taught something even more profound. He taught that this was the day to bring your most hopeless intentions to Mary's feet. What is that one situation in your life that makes doctors shake their heads? What relationship seems broken beyond repair? What financial crisis has no earthly solution? What family member appears lost forever in addiction or anger? That's exactly what you should bring to the rosary today. Here's Padre Pio's approach. Take your rosary in your hands. It doesn't need to be fancy or blessed by a priest. Mary looks at the heart, not the beads. Find your quiet place, your bedroom, your car, even a bathroom if that's your only private space. God meets us wherever we are. Before the first Hail Mary, hold your rosary close to your heart and speak these words. Mary, Mother of Miracles, today is your special day. I offer this rosary for what my heart has almost given up asking for. I bring you my situation that seems beyond hope, knowing that what defeats human wisdom becomes clay in divine hands. I place my complete trust in your maternal intercession. As you pray each decade, don't rush. Let each Hail Mary carry the weight of your impossible intention. Padre Pio taught that Mary doesn't just hear our prayers, she feels them. When you say, Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, let your heart pour out the specific hopelessness you're facing. What makes this practice so powerful? When you pray for what seems unreachable, you're acknowledging you've reached the end of your own strength. You're saying, Mary, I can't fix this, but I believe you can intercede for a miracle. This kind of surrender creates a spiritual opening that ordinary prayer sometimes cannot achieve. Maria discovered this practice 3 years ago. She had been estranged from her daughter for over a decade. Every attempt at reconciliation had failed spectacularly. But on August 5th, she prayed the Rosary of the Impossible, specifically for her daughter's heart to soften. 2 weeks later, her daughter called for the first time in 10 years, saying she couldn't explain why, but felt compelled to reach out. Today, they're closer than ever. But Padre Pio warned about this practice. Don't pray it unless you're ready for dramatic change. When Mary moves on behalf of the humanly unreachable, the results often come in ways we never expected. Be prepared for God to answer in His perfect timing and His perfect way, which might look completely different from what you originally envisioned. End your rosary with this prayer. Mary, I trust in your powerful intercession. What seems unreachable to me is within your maternal care. I surrender this intention completely to you and await your answer with unwavering faith. The beauty. This rosary can be prayed anywhere, anytime. Whether you're stuck in traffic, sitting by a hospital bed, or lying awake at 3 a.m., Mary is always listening, always ready to carry your seemingly hopeless burdens to her Son. But this is only the beginning. The second practice Padre Pio revealed touches something even deeper. What if I told you that the secret to receiving from heaven isn't asking more, but giving more? The second practice Padre Pio revealed for August 5th completely flips our understanding of prayer. While most believers approach Mary only when they need something, Padre Pio discovered that true spiritual relationship requires both receiving and sacrificing. Listen to this profound truth. We're so focused on what we want from heaven that we forget heaven desires something from us too. Not because God needs anything, but because giving creates a spiritual bond that pure petition cannot achieve. When you offer something meaningful to Mary on August 5th, You're participating in the same spirit that moved Giovanni and his wife to dedicate their fortune to building her basilica. But here's Padre Pio's revolutionary insight. Mary doesn't look at the size of the offering, but at the love with which it's made. This isn't about grand gestures or expensive gifts. This is about sincere sacrifice, about giving something that costs you something, even if it seems small to the world. Let me show you how beautifully practical Padre Pio was about this. Your offering might be lighting a candle in your home, placing it before an image of Mary while saying, "Lady, let your light enter my house and chase away every shadow." That simple flame becomes a symbol of your desire to let Mary's presence illuminate every corner of your life. Perhaps your offering is choosing to fast. Skip a meal today and offer that hunger as a prayer. When you feel those pangs of emptiness, let them remind you that Mary, too, experienced the emptiness of watching her son suffer. Your small sacrifice joins with her great sacrifice, creating a spiritual connection across time. Maybe your offering is embracing silence. In our noisy world, choosing to spend an hour in quiet reflection away from phones and distractions becomes a precious gift. Use that silence not to ask for anything, but simply to be present with Mary, acknowledging her maternal care over your life. For those carrying physical or emotional pain, even that suffering can become an offering. Padre Pio, who bore the wounds of Christ in his own flesh, understood this deeply. He would say, "Offer your pain to Mary, and she will transform it into a prayer more powerful than words." When you're hurting, instead of asking, "Why me?" try saying, "Mary, I offer this pain for the conversion of sinners, for peace in my family, for healing of others who suffer even more." The key is intentionality. Whatever you choose to offer, do it consciously, deliberately, as a gift of love. Before you light that candle, before you begin that fast, before you embrace that silence or offer that pain, pause and say, "Mary, Mother of Miracles, I offer this small sacrifice as a sign of my love and trust. I don't give this to earn your favor, but to show gratitude for your constant maternal care. This transforms everything." When you move from only asking to also giving, your relationship with Mary shifts from one-sided petition to genuine spiritual friendship. You begin to understand that she's not just there to solve your problems, she's there to walk with you through every season of your life. Thomas learned this powerfully. Struggling with his teenage son's rebellion, instead of only praying for change, Thomas began offering small daily sacrifices. He would skip his morning coffee, offering those few minutes of discomfort as a prayer for his son's heart. He would choose to bite his tongue during arguments, offering his silence as a gift to Mary. Within months, something shifted. His son began opening up, and today they have the close relationship Thomas had always hoped for. Your offering doesn't need to be the same every day or follow any prescribed formula. Mary recognizes sincerity over structure. What matters is that you're choosing to give something, however small, as an expression of your devotion. End your offering with this prayer: "Mary, accept this small gift from my heart. Transform it into blessings for my family, for those I love, and for souls who need your maternal care." But there's still one more practice, and it's the most transformative of all. Prepare yourself. What I'm about to share with you isn't just another prayer. It's a spiritual revolution that can fundamentally alter the trajectory of your entire life. Padre Pio called this final practice the renewed consecration, and it goes far beyond asking Mary for help. This practice involves completely surrendering your life into her maternal guardianship. Here's what most people misunderstand about consecration. They think it's something you do once, perhaps during a retreat or special ceremony. But Padre Pio revealed that consecration is like marriage. The initial commitment is just the beginning. True consecration deepens through daily renewal, through choosing again and again to entrust yourself completely to Mary's guidance. Picture this scenario. What if you had access to the wisest, most loving mother in the universe? What if she promised to guide every decision, protect every step, and lead you safely through every storm? That's exactly what consecration to Mary offers. You're not just asking her to pray for you, you're asking her to take charge of your spiritual life, to shield your family, and to lead you closer to her Son. Padre Pio would often say with deep conviction, "Whoever gives themselves to the heart of Mary will be led in peace to the heart of Jesus." This isn't just beautiful poetry. This is spiritual reality. Mary's only desire is to bring souls to Christ. When you consecrate yourself to her, she becomes your spiritual mother in the most practical sense, guiding you through every challenge and celebration. But here's what's crucial to understand. Consecration isn't about losing your freedom or becoming passive. It's about gaining ultimate protection and divine guidance. When you're consecrated to Mary, you're under her maternal mantle. She shields you from spiritual dangers you might not even perceive. She opens doors that seem permanently locked. She softens hearts that appear hardened beyond reach. The consecration prayer doesn't need elaborate language or formal ceremony. Padre Pio taught that sincerity matters infinitely more than eloquent words. On this sacred day, find a moment of quiet solitude. If you have an image of Mary, kneel before it. If not, simply look toward heaven with faith. Place your hands over your heart and speak these words with complete sincerity. Mary, my mother and queen, today I consecrate my heart completely to you. I place my worries, my fears, my hopes, and my dreams into your maternal care. Take my family under your protection. Guide my decisions with your wisdom. When I'm confused, be my clarity. When I'm weak, be my strength. When I'm afraid, be my courage. I don't just ask for your prayers. I ask you to take charge of my spiritual life and lead me safely to your Son, Jesus. Continue with this heartfelt addition. Mary, I consecrate not just this day, but this entire month to you. Whatever challenges arrive, whatever joys unfold, I want to face them all under your maternal guidance. If it's God's will, work the miracle I carry in my heart. But above all, work the miracle of making me more like your Son. What happens when you make this consecration? Padre Pio taught that Mary immediately begins working in ways you might not initially recognize. She starts arranging circumstances, softening hearts, opening opportunities, providing protection. You might notice that certain temptations lose their power. Difficult relationships begin improving. Doors that were closed start opening. Peace settles into areas that were once chaotic. The key to maintaining this consecration is daily renewal. Each morning when you wake up, take a moment to say, Mary, today again I place myself under your care. Each evening before sleep, thank her for her guidance throughout the day. This simple practice keeps your consecration alive and growing. This isn't superstition or mere tradition. This is entering into the same relationship with Mary that the apostles experienced after Jesus ascended to heaven. They turned to her for guidance, comfort, and strength. When you consecrate yourself to Mary, you join that apostolic family. August 5th represents the perfect day for this consecration because it celebrates the very place where heaven chose to establish Mary's house on earth. When you consecrate yourself today, you're spiritually entering that basilica, placing yourself under the same maternal protection that has sheltered souls for over 16 centuries. The snow that fell in ancient Rome was just the beginning. Today, Mary wants to work an even greater miracle, the transformation of your heart. Today, you've discovered the 3 sacred practices that Padre Pio treasured for August 5th. The Rosary of the Impossible. where you bring your most hopeless situations to Mary's maternal heart. The offering of the heart, where you give something meaningful as a sign of your love and trust. And the renewed consecration, where you place your entire life under Mary's protective care. These aren't just spiritual exercises, they're keys that unlock the same miraculous power that caused snow to fall in ancient Rome. When you practice these 3 devotions with sincere faith, you're spiritually entering the Basilica of St. Mary Major. You're standing in that sacred space where heaven and earth meet, where divine intervention becomes reality. Think about this profound truth. The same Mary who appeared to Giovanni and his wife, who guided the construction of her miraculous basilica, who has been answering prayers for over 16 centuries, is the same Mary who hears your voice today. Her maternal love hasn't diminished, her power to intercede hasn't weakened, her desire to help hasn't changed. Padre Pio knew this with absolute certainty. That's why he would tell his spiritual children with such confidence, "Don't be troubled, you are in the hands of the Mother of God, and whoever is with her does not fall." August 5th isn't just a date on the calendar. It's an invitation from heaven. It's Mary saying to you personally, "Come into my house, bring me your heaviest burdens. Let me be your mother in the deepest, most real sense." The miracle of the snow was just the beginning of Mary's wonders. Today, she wants to work an even greater miracle in your life. She's waiting for you to take these 3 practices and make them your own. She's ready to show you that, with God, nothing is truly beyond reach. If this message has touched your heart, if you feel the call to enter deeper into relationship with the Mother of Miracles, write in the comments, "Mother of Miracles, pray for me." Share this video with someone who needs to experience Mary's maternal love. Let them know that today, heaven is bending close to earth. The Mother of Miracles is waiting for you. Don't let this sacred day pass without accepting her invitation. My dear friends, if these sacred teachings have stirred something deep within your soul, I need your help to continue this vital mission. We're not just creating videos. We're building a spiritual family. A community of believers who understand that faith can move mountains and that miracles are still happening today. Your support means everything to us. When you click that like button, you're telling us that these messages matter. When you share this video, you're becoming a missionary of hope to someone who desperately needs to hear about Mary's love. And when you become a member of our channel, you're joining a sacred mission to spread Padre Pio's wisdom to hearts around the world. We believe that together, through faith and community, we can touch millions of lives with the transforming power of authentic spirituality. This isn't just our calling, it's our shared mission as children of the same Heavenly Mother. Thank you for being part of this beautiful spiritual journey. Until we meet again, may Mary's blessings surround you always.